Okay, so I'm Jason, and I'm with my client Kim here, and we've been talking. We've just gone over the part one of the Canadian occupational performance measure. We've kind of just gone over a bunch of the of several. We've gone through the three areas: self-care, productivity, and leisure, and we've kind of talked about different things that we kind of would work on together going forward with therapy. We've got several different performance areas, several different occupations that she's kind of discussed with me, and now we're going to kind of go through them and rate their importance, um, uh, and kind of go from there. So Kim, so now I'm just going to kind of go through the all the different things we talked about. I want you to do on a scale of 1 to 10, kind of rate their importance as far as how you want, as far as how they are in terms of your daily life, how important you think they are, how important you think they would be as far as going forward with therapy on those things, okay? So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 10 being the most important, and 1 being not so, the least important. We'll go from there. We'll kind of go through these one by one. So in the self-care realm, you mentioned putting your coat on since you had your surgery years ago. Putting your coat on. What on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate that? Is important to you?
I would say about a 5.
A 5. Okay. Okay. The next one you mentioned was transferring into and out of the bath. Scale 1 to 10.
10.
10. Great.
That would be like from the bed and everything else.
So that's transferring in general
Yeah.
from to out of the bath
Yeah.
into and out of okay. How about buttoning your clothes? You mentioned
That'd be above a 5.
that's a 5 too. Okay. For functional mobility, I mean that was the personal care section. For functional mobility, you mentioned transferring from chair to couch. What would you rate that?
I would say about 8 or 9.
8 or 9. I'll put 9. Okay, how about, okay, so that was pretty much all you identified for functional mobility. How about in the community management realm, we had finding affordable transportation. What would you rate that?
I would rate that a 10.
Big 10. Yeah, no, you, when we talked about that, you kind of really wanted to get that point across, so that's good. We'll put that at 10 for sure. Advocating, you mentioned advocating for government resources.
A 10.
That's a 10, okay. And opening doors.
I'd say that'd be like a 7.
7. Okay, so that was part 1A, the self-care. In part 1B, you mentioned for work, paid work, you've got a client or a party planning business that you're kind of getting off the ground, and you wanted to find clients for your business. So where would you rate that?
I'd rate that a 10.
That's a 10. Okay. Household management, you mentioned moving into independent living. You wanted to just move in general. So that's a 10. Okay. Safety in the kitchen, you mentioned.
But I think that'd be like a definite 10
That's a 10. Okay.
Wouldn't want to burn down anything.
Sure. And general upkeep. You mentioned just keeping, you mentioned as an example, changing light bulbs, or doing little things around the house, just general upkeep of your house. What would you rate that?
Maybe like a 7.
That's a 7. Okay. And that was the productivity 1B. 1C was your leisure. We didn't have as much for this, because you mentioned in productivity, you mentioned play and school was a section, but you're not going to school or anything, so we didn't have to do anything with that. In the leisure section in 1C, we only had a couple things that we talked about. Quiet recreation, you were fine with all that, with being able to read, playing on a computer, what have you. Active recreation, though, kind of transferring to the hand bike in your Zumba classes.
Yeah.
Where would you rate that?
Probably a 9 or 10.
Okay. How about, so that was it for active recreation. And socialization, though, I know you were mentioning that you're outgoing and you're social, so that's not a problem, but you do have an issue navigating other people's houses.
Yeah.
How about rating that?
It'd be like a 9 or 10.
Okay, so so it looks like in going through all these, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick sort of, we wanna work on, we wanna pick 5 of the most ones that you rated the highest. So I know you rated a 10 to transferring into, as far as personal care, transferring in general. I think we can combine all the transferring from your chair to the couch. That's from into and out of the bath, what have you. You gave that all pretty much a 10. So I'm gonna put transferring is down as one of the goals or one of the things we can work on. We don't want to do more than 5 because, we don't want to spread it. If, when working with you, I don't, 5 things would be plenty to work on for right now. So we'll pick the 5 most important. Transferring was one of them. Finding affordable transportation, I can kind of help you do that, in your community, finding transportation in your community that's not going to break the bank. Finding transport, put that down. What else do we have? Finding clients for your business, or maybe marketing your business. Just kind of getting it off the ground, getting it going. You mentioned safety in the kitchen, so when you're cooking, you mentioned that was a big thing because you don't want to get hurt, burn yourself or cut yourself with knives. And then we can kind of go from what else did we have here? We'll between the two, I know you kind of looked in the leisure, so I want to work on something in your leisure. Between transferring the hand cycle and navigating others' houses, which would you prefer to do?
Transferring hand cycle.
Transferring to the hand cycle, okay. Because that's sort of, we'll say that.
Because I can't really change everybody's house.
Sure, I know, and that's. I mean, there are other ways to get around that, but we can kind of work on. I know we talked about transferring will be one, but this is kind of a separate kind of transferring. So we'll put transferring to the hand cycle. Okay. That might be something different. I'm not familiar with them myself, so might want to learn. I might need to learn those how to do that. Okay, so transfer. Okay, so now that we have the 5 things these are the 5 most important things that we've identified as most important to you that we'll work on. So I want you to do for transferring, just in transferring in general, from whether it's the chair to the couch, all the transferring to and from the bath, all the transferring we talked about in the home. How would you rate your performance on that? Give me a score of 1 to 10, 10 being the best and 1 being the worst. How do you think you do on that?
Well, I'd say like a 2 or 3 because I still need a majority of my help comes from my mother transferring.
Okay, so 2 or 3. We'll put a 2. And how would you rate your satisfaction with your performance in that? So, I mean, how satisfied are you with your performance? On a scale to 1 to 10 again.
About the same, like
2. Okay. Finding transportation. I mean, you mentioned getting transportation around your community that's affordable. How would you rate your performance on that in terms of being able to find that transportation?
I would say like a 5 because I'm good at it, but there's gotta be better
ways to find that
communication with the government and myself.
Okay. And how satisfied are you with your performance in that?
I'm not very satisfied because I think transportation could be better.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying how satisfied are you with your performance in terms of being able to find it?
About like a 7.
Okay. Finding clients for your business, for your party planning business, performance-wise, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate that?
I say I'm right now like a 1 or 2. I
1 or 2. We'll put
do have one friend I'm helping
yeah.
plan, but
yeah, and I know it's kind of a struggle for anyone. Just kind
Yeah.
of word of mouth is a lot of how a lot of this works. So,
Yeah.
And how satisfied are you with that performance? How well do you think you're doing?
I think I'm doing is like about 5 maybe.
So okay, well, 5. Safety in the kitchen. How's your performance with that right now?
Right now it's a 10 because I don't cook. So,
well, but I mean, if you were cooking, how would you think your performance?
I think it'd be a struggle, so maybe a 3.
3. And how satisfied are you with that performance?
A 1.
You're not satisfied at all. Okay. And the last one, transferring to the hand cycle. Your performance on that. How well do you think you're doing with that?
Like a 1.
It's a 1. Okay. And your satisfaction with that?
1.
1. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do, what I would do next is I'm going to add up your scores for the performance and the section and the satisfaction of those 2 different that we came up with for those 5 goals. Add them together, kind of come up with and then we'll divide them by 5 because we talked about 5 different areas, and we'll come up with your total score. And then we'll compare it when we meet again down the road. We'll do a reassessment. We'll kind of do all this. We'll talk about these 5 goals again, and we'll kind of come up with after we've just talked about some things, after we've kind of gone over some interventions and things we can do for that. We'll reassess again, and we'll see how your performance scores and your satisfaction scores, if those have gone up at all, if they've gone down, how much, if there's any change at all, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty. We'll kind of go from there. I'll come up with some goals for you. We'll work on those, and then we will. I'll come up with some things to do to kind of work towards those goals, and then we'll, as you do those, we'll kind of see how you're doing in a few months down the road. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, Kim. Well,
Thank
it was
you.
nice talking with you. Okay.
Talking to you.
Okay, and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks a lot.